called him the other day, I said, we have water or not? He goes, no. Brian.
Good.
Chicken.
Hey, Bryce.
You should have got started sooner than you did with your
What?
business. You should have got started sooner than you did with your business.
I can't keep up right now.
I know.
It's very detailed and easy to follow. The agenda, I like the way they do that.
We gonna get into this weather or not?
I don't know.
I keep looking.
I keep, get those little warnings up, but doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna get it.
True.
First 13, they're gonna do another one.
20 p.m. to
So that's a 20,
Saturday or Thursday.
and then there's, oh, but the 22s are gonna be coming up in March?
Well, the lease ends in March. By the time we get them all built, and I have the 9 vehicles that we want already in stock. So once everybody gets 3 months of their, then we're gonna start outfitting new ones. So they'll be all up. So when they come 22s.
I like vacations.
All right. Going another one.
Throwing that out
Now
there.
we're looking at time now, if they go more than that, well, that'd be worse. They've got 9, 20, 20 years in. We're 6.
Then, and they do it all, go over the same kind of deal, all outfitted, or?
Yeah, we have those, he does all the
Oh,
upfits
that-
on them, they'll leave them all upfitted, so we can strip them or sell them. So if we have a retail customer wants one, we take it out, all that's in that we can. But if an agency wants it, which we've been trying to keep a nice one for the agencies, we keep those, and offer those out for sale. So, guns are nice. And they're selling these around 25 on the retail market. These are only 22.5. You get over 10,000 over foot.
Yeah,
Makes it-
yeah, you can have the fairest deal that you can ever.
For savings, instead of keeping them, you have one of the working vehicles. Because, they're on fire, and those are, they're really good. They have a tremendous maintenance program. They keep the brakes, everything we check.
How did you be the president? Yeah, you guys were on the seat.
I didn't know when you were still working for a while.
I'm on the top.
I didn't know whether you were staying with it or not. For a
Well, still hanging around.
That's good.
So, just having more of the
Yeah. Was
back
it voted
line
on by
stuff,
just the
so
council?
keeping their
Yeah,
vehicles
yeah,
going.
yes, yes, after they're voted in as being on the
Get ready for the
council,
training.
when the council decides who's gonna be president and vice president.
So we're gonna pay for all the 10 officers to
Yeah.
come here.
Yeah.
And you're gonna pay for all
Well,
that.
hello there.
Yeah,
Give them
really?
all their.
How's it going?
24 hours worth of training.
Well,
in 3 days.
it's been a little rough around the edges, but
To get all that
it's
training.
been going.
That's what you told me the last time,
Just
John.
trying to find the hours to
Well,
get it in.
I'll tell you what, I'd make 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. I was working on it, and I went to put the top in the trunk and then put the lid down. Putting the lid down, I blew a line. So I got a whole new set of lines coming.
Where'd the oil go?
Well, it all went in the trunk, and I mopped it up. Hydraulic fluid. I mopped it up. No, you don't think I got it all?
I hate to hear that.
To keep it from rusting.
Well, yeah, but there was already some in there from a long time ago.
No. What is it?
63 Thunderbird, 62.
62 for convertible. Trunk, the top goes in the trunk. And so the trunk lid was up, and I was putting the mechanism for the top in the trunk, and then put the trunk lid down, and the line going to the trunk lid to put it down, I blew that line. But I blew it, I saw it immediately, and so I stopped, and I mopped up all the oil. But I used almost all the paper towels. I need another roll of paper
Okay, I'll
towels.
get another roll.
Well, you can go to parts store too and get some stuff that'll break down that
Doing
oil,
all right, how are you?
the leftover oil, the film,
Can I check your
and
tablet?
spray it down with that and then mop it up with paper towel.
Well,
Strip it all out of
Was
it.
it been that long?
I didn't have any finish stuff in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
trunk.
I'm just getting it
It
started
it
for me.
was
Check your
metal
settings.
and the insulation board is all that was in there. I didn't have the finish stuff in there yet because I don't have the top on the car yet. This is one step at a time.
Size engines it got.
It's getting close to getting
Where'd
the
you
top
go
put on.
to,
So how about the engine?
Oh, the engine's done, transmission's done, brakes are done.
yeah.
So the 352,
What
is it a
size?
352,
It's what?
What size engine? 352?
390.
390,
Okay, thank you.
390.
same family.
Or don't want
Yeah.
to.
M&R did it.
What's this supposed to be about?
When I first started,
They're discussing.
I couldn't get it to show any oil pressure.
So, what decision did we
J just went into orbit.
make? No, now it's on, now we're back at the end. It says,
So anyway,
it's an open for, nobody
I
what's going on.
tapped in and put a gauge on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
It should be already up and
I
running.
said, oh, but
Back down to about
so
35
when
or
they're here,
40.
they don't
At an
see
idle.
the same
And
thing.
I, yes,
Yes or no?
yeah. So I'm good.
Move on.
You've got better than I am at running that thing.
That's not the way you do it.
My 7-year-old daughter knows how to run it better than I do.
That's the truth.
Don, how are you?
Agreed.
How you doing this evening?
Good,
I like your hat.
thank you. Where's yours?
Well,
Normally you got one on.
I got this one down here. This is my daily
Yep.
ride.
Larry, how's it going?
Fine.
Ready for
I'm
something?
Linda, I'm his daughter.
Bryce, nice to
When did you
That's
get here?
right.
This is my youngest daughter
Okay.
in Jacksonville, Florida.
Well, why are you up here when it's cold?
Taking care of
That's
me.
a good question.
Yeah.
I asked myself the same thing.
Yeah, that's the other day when it was like 7 degrees and we were scraping off cars and everything. I said, why didn't I open my car lot before it?
Yeah.
I've been down there a couple times since I saw you last.
Why don't you come buy some?
How many you want me to
All
buy?
right, Jingles, you got a lot of reports there.
I mean, I got several, you can come buy them all, hell, I'll just sell you the whole lot, and I'll move it for you, how about that?
No, I can't do that.
It's still a lot of water. I don't know if
The problem is your meter.
Huh?
Problem is.
Yeah. That's we sold 31 since we opened. And my dad keeps saying it's because I'm selling them too cheap. I won't sell them, I didn't buy them, just.
We buy a hug.
Yeah. It's been good. Someone want to tell our president it's 7 o'clock?
By the way, bring Bruce.
What happened to the clock?
Yeah.
Is it off?
You're on.
Yeah, actually, I
Did it quit?
and he's probably gonna have to pay to rebuild the engine during the work for his kid.
I know, but
And
didn't
my
it used to
kid
be
drives it
over
like it's coming out of the trial of Daytona every
Oh,
day.
it did too.
He turns on 42 on 231, and I mean, you can hear that thing screaming.
It's always been right there.
That's the guy here every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're down at 5-0,
Yeah.
there's a lot of them got 300,000.
No,
Never been touched.
yeah,
I couldn't believe that.
I bought one for sale, I drove it, it's gonna be a problem, I think I'm gonna have to put a motor in it. I bought it at the sale, 204,000 miles, 2018, F-150, really clean truck. Drove it home from the auction, then I drove it myself for a week. It's been on 3 test drives, the guy takes them on test drive today.
I'm not gonna get my water.
Put three 4-packs in it, because it's showing engine misfire on them. It's regular.
We own them.
I hope so.
All right, it is 7:01. If we could call this meeting to order and please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Kelly, if you can take attendance, please.
Larry Finley.
Here.
Greg Jay.
Here.
Brandon Tanker.
Here.
Bryce Howell.
Here.
Scott Stierwald.
Here.
All right, any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda?
I have an addition.
Okay.
Item 4 under town marshal. K9.
Number 4 to A, K9, okay. Anybody else?
I would like to add EAS contract, please.
To where?
You can add it, new business.
EIS.
EAS,
Yeah.
or IT.
Oh, okay.
It's the
Yeah.
contract renewal.
Yes, ma'am.
Kelly, anything else?
That's it, thank you.
Jason? Okay, motion for the additions to tonight's agenda?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, public hearing for award of public-private agreement.
Essentially, this is your public hearing for the DOT water project that you advertised. You received one response from B&T Drainage and Excavating. We reviewed that with town representatives, and I think it is appropriate to move forward with that selection. That would officially allow the scoping period to start, whereby the contractor would develop pricing for the project as currently designed. And another step would be actually entering into a contract with them, assuming you're agreeable with the pricing that they offer for the job.
What's your gut on why we don't have one person want to bid it?
Sometimes everybody's busy. It's not that unusual to have, whether it's DOT or even public bids, everybody's pretty busy right now. We're seeing a lot of jobs where you may only get one or two. If you don't agree with the pricing that you get through this process with this contractor, you still have the option to cut back out. Yeah. You still have another off-ramp, essentially, which is the contract.
Do you want to address the numbers they gave to us, or?
I was gonna wait and do that at the next presentation, because all you're doing with this step is to award them, since they were the only one and they met the criteria for selection.
Council?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, approval of minutes from the January 14th, 2025 regular meeting.
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And approval of the minutes from the January 14th, 2025 executive session.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This will bring us to claims and transfers.
From the general fund, $404,468.02.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
From water, $78,480.17.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
From wastewater, $68,857.70.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Payroll, $59,473.26.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Water Solutions Unlimited, invoice number 6974219, in the amount of $4,371.78.
Questions on that invoice, council? If not, would somebody like to?
What was that for?
This is routine chemicals.
Oh, okay. Motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
And service pump and machine invoice number 2222A, in the amount of $3,500.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have at this time.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hall?
Good evening. I have SOP revisions. Our ALPR camera is installed. We just need approval from council on the SOPs and policies to put them into our policy and procedures within the department.
Motion. Second.
All in favor with updated SOPs?
Aye.
Aye.
The second is the policy and procedure on the reserve deputy side. The reserve section down there, section F, has been revised to 2 reserve sergeants.
I will make a motion to approve this, but I would like to, because if I believe correctly, Kent's lease expires on 9/20. I would just like to have the terms where this is to when his is coincides, where we revisit on I think it's 9/20, but everything coincides, that way we can review the lease on both of them at that time.
Well, the SOP is just stating that we're increasing from 1 reserve sergeant to 2 reserve sergeants.
Then I'll make a motion for that, but I want to contingent that when Kent's comes around and we renew both leases, we review them both and renew them both at the same time. That way we've got them
That's
all.
next.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Then I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next is the reserve lease. We didn't have enough individuals last meeting, so it's on the table again. Brandon, if you want to.
Yep, council, you were, we were presented with another lease agreement by the police department to add, it's basically a second leased vehicle option for the reserves. That's why the SOPs had to be updated. Adam is wanting council to take under consideration and ultimately looking for approval to add the second reserve vehicle lease option, which, as Adam just mentioned, we didn't have enough council members here last meeting, so that's why it's on the agenda tonight.
So I'll make my same motion. Sorry, I thought we were still in the SOP revision. I'll make my same motion to approve it, but I want it where the term of the lease is only until the same term where Kent's is expired, then we can have them both on the same lease term.
So do a short term.
Yeah.
Basically, it would go into effect as of today, and it would expire on 9/20/2025 at midnight, if that's the date that is on the current contract for Goldman.
That's my motion. You second?
I second.
Who had the motion?
I did.
Okay, Greg second. All in favor?
Aye.
I am opposed.
The next is the Florida Police Department fleet plan. We have an opportunity, paperwork is in front of you, to get rid of three of our old vehicles that have been causing us some issues. Kent's here, if there's any questions about the new vehicles, I think you've all seen them. We do have an opportunity to where we can purchase all three without any lease and add, depending on what council wants, a extended warranty with them. I've got the terms here if anybody wants to see them or has any question about the extended warranty or whether they want one.
I will say, Adam and I have talked about this, and he's probably talked about it with other council members, but if council decides to go this route, there's going to be a lot of uniform to where now we don't have any. We have a white vehicle, a black vehicle, truck, SUV, etc. This will give us a uniform fleet of police vehicles for the most part at this point.
Correct.
Well, and Adam brought one down to the numbers. Obviously, me being in the business, the numbers are good. I mean, it's a good, fair deal for the town, which you don't find that a lot in the car business, but it really is. What Kent and them are asking for the vehicles from Andy Moore, they're being very, very fair to the town on the price. The extended warranty is something I think we need to look at.
I've got it right here if you want. We'll pass it around. The one I was looking at was the base care. Gives us 4 years and 60,000 additional miles. And with the price that Andy Moore's deducting, giving us a special price on that as well. That keeps us all under our budget. The we're trying to achieve to stay under.
Kate, Kent, what is the base camera?
Here, I can show it on mine, I've got it all wrote out.
Shows that the 84 major components.
84 major components for 4 years, 60,000 miles, that's for
29.7.
That's per vehicle?
Yes. And this is the 113 covered components, it's a little bit pricier.
Sure.
And I can run the numbers down to you if you have any questions about which care package you're. I think we need to add the extended warranty myself, just to protect us.
What's the number for the base care again?
4 years, 75,000 additional is 3,300
Per vehicle?
per vehicle, and the 4 years, 60,000 additional is 29.
There's a transmission.
Yeah. I'll make the motion to obviously approve buying the vehicles, but I would also add the base care at the 60,000, 2,900 number. I mean, I had to do it yesterday, a trans and a trans cooler and a car like that's over $6,000.
You want to see the numbers, right? At the top, it gives you the extended miles,
So on the Dodge Durango.
and the next page is the extended.
What is the cost for the vehicles before the warranty?
Before the warranty for all three, 36, right at 36,000. You'll get one of these.
Okay.
I don't know my credit information at all. It's like 36,235 and some change. And then if you add the 9,000 in, we're still sitting under what we budgeted for the last 2 years for
Like
a new vehicle.
to cover
and
the-
three.
Yeah, to cover the warranty and everything, you still have plenty of money in the budget.
Yeah, I can cover the 3 vehicles and the base care warranty that you're talking about, for sure. And it would keep me at about 45.
What is the time frame of delivery of all three if council approves?
2 are available now. The third one, we're still waiting to see which is the best of the trade-ins through Martinsville. We're trying to get the lowest mileage ones that we can get in the best condition. Then they'll go through our service department to qualify for a warranty. They'll have to be through a service inspection, has to go through a points inspection, be approved by the technician. Once that's all done, then we can write the policies, and these would be warranted through Ford Motor Company, which would, as anymore is a Dodge dealer, but we can't fix at our store, we can have our Dodge dealer take a look at them also.
The good news is it's actually it's a Ford service warranty, not a third-party company, a lot of these people, so like.
Would these 3 units come fully equipped?
Yes, just like the one that's outside right now.
I apologize, I haven't been able to go out or step outside yet to look at that, so.
Nice thing about it is the radars, or stalker radars, which are very expensive. Usually they're between $2,000 to $2,500 on the average to purchase one. They're leaving everything in their vehicles, lights, some of them have shotgun racks, everything that you see will stay in the vehicle. One thing they're taking out is their radio.
And we can transfer anything off of our units that we want into these new ones,
Anything,
correct?
when we strip off the trade-ins, all that equipment's yours to use as you want. I've also instructed JTN to save parts and stuff off the other vehicles that we're stripping from Martinsville, so we'll have backups for extra lights, radio, or lights and radars. So there's like 4 or 5 radars that are stalker radars that we're gonna keep, so we can keep those in-house. So if something does break, you can grab another radar and put it in without using the beacon. So we're gonna keep all those parts.
What's it cost to transfer a radio from one asset to another? Roughly, give me a ballpark.
Well, JTM probably wouldn't charge much. To strip the vehicle's $250. That's taking everything off. So just to do a radio swap, I would imagine he would do it for minimum cost of $25 per, for an hour.
You're talking pennies.
With all the wires and already in there, and same radios that they took out, so that will fit them, they shouldn't be plugged and play at all. So I don't think it's a major switch over at all. for radio.
I don't think you're gonna find a better deal.
Council?
I made my motion to approve it with the,
48.
the 48, 60,000 mile. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then can I have that one back?
Actually, yes, you can.
I can give you all the numbers off this.
It'll be in the minutes, it's fine, thank you though. This then now brings us to canine talk, right?
Yeah, and I'm gonna bring Officer Freund up, and he's gonna give you a brief narrative. Larry's a lot like Jason, he likes to talk, so if you wanna stand at the podium here? Yes. Pass a couple of minutes over here.
Try and move it, makes noise, I'll switch.
Just all one packet.
Yes.
Sir?
Is this to pass around if people would like to look at this or anything? Would they like to look at that?
Floor is yours.
All right, sir. So here recently, less than a mile from the Florida Elementary School, this was what was seized from a house by Mr. Brown. Over 11 pounds of meth, 1 ounce of cocaine, several pounds of marijuana. I know myself and Deputy Lee over there have been working pretty diligently to help try to fix the drug problem that's going on in this town. Sorry if my voice is a little shaky, I'm new to talking in front of people. But we've been working hard to fix the drunk driving problem and the drug problem in the town. That being said, there is a clear problem. I got offered an opportunity today, and that's why it's so last minute, and normally I'd be a little bit more detailed, but it's all I could come up with off the top of my head. So this is a 501c3 nonprofit organization called Redemption Ranch. What they do is they rescue dogs who are up for euthanasia, that have a high, they look for these things in these dogs, and what they do is, if these dogs show high potential, then they will rescue them from these pounds where they're going to get euthanized. So the good thing about this program is it's ran by Mr. Pritchard. He is a highly accredited instructor. And like I said, everything here is going to be free. It will not cost the town anything. The dog will belong to the town. So that being said, the dog's name is Estelle. I put a picture of the dog in there as well. The only reason why this opportunity became available was because there's several departments going to this starting on Monday. And one of the people who were supposed to be in this dropped out last minute, and that's why there's an opening for this canine, and it's going to be a single purpose canine, strictly narcotics and drugs. That being said, that's why there's an opening and this man, when we go to this training, it's a 3-week training course where the handler and the dog are all trained, and it's 3 weeks straight of training. The dog is licensed under the state of Indiana. The dog is licensed. They provide all the startup equipment. They provide all the vet bills for the year. The first year they provide free recertification as long as you stay up to date with their standards, which are pretty strenuous standards. I put in there all the case law for our portion of it as far as the handlers that we have to study, and for our test reviews and stuff like that as well. There's information in there as far as their standards and what they train the dogs on. They're academy accredited hours. Like I said, the dog would belong to the town. The recertification every year is free as long as you hold to those standards. And there's 16 hours a month that you have to do training with the dog. So the 16 hours a month training with the dog, that's part of their policy that says you have to, not really policy, but their standards to keep to where you don't have to pay for that recertification every year. Everything is, like I said, everything's free besides after that first year, the yearly vet bills and the food would be on the town. But everything, it's a nonprofit organization, completely free to the town, ran by this Mr. Pritchard, highly accredited. He goes to sergeant there at Plainfield Police Department. And I have to go through some more here, but in there I showed the initial handler's course, the obedience standards, what they're trained to detect. There is a schedule for the 3-week training and what they cover and where it's going to be at on every single day of that training. And then, like I said, the last packet is that Canine Handler's Written Test Study Guide with all the case law that it covers for specific canine. And I know the concerns for maybe the food. I've looked into getting a funding program through fundraising. I've talked with multiple people in the town, talked to the golf course about getting fundraisers to help with yearly vet bills and help with the yearly vet bills and the food, and as far as a cage goes for our vehicle, he also offered to help with accessing any kind of grants that may be available for more canine programs for things that we can't raise through funding, which I'm fairly confident we'll be able to raise things through funding. But for example, he found a used cage that can go into a Ford Explorer for $500, which is pretty cheap as far as canine cages go. So he's offered to help with fundraising, all nonprofit. So everything I have for you guys, if you have any more questions, I can answer to the best of my ability.
I actually have a few. For the record, you only work nights now, correct?
Yes, sir.
How many canines does the county have?
The canine has...
Just county?
Just county has got 2. Okay.
And the city of Greencastle has how many?
County has 3, the city of Greencastle has 1.
Do they work nights with their canines?
Some of them do. So you've got 1 canine on days with county, you've got 2 canines on night with county but they don't work together. They work opposite shifts like me and Trevor do.
Makes sense.
The difficult thing with that is if we get a stop and it shows that, you've got that suspicion of drugs, we've only got so much time to be able to get a dog there. We can't prolong that traffic stop any longer than what is reasonable. So a lot of times what will happen is county will be all the way up on the north end of town, or on the north side of the county, and with Greencastle only having 1, they're hit or miss on whether or not she's going to be there that night or whether or not she's not, or if she's on a call or if she's not on a call. So with that being said, we've got a very small window of probably about 17 minutes to get a canine there and be able to effectively use that canine.
You've been on nights for how long?
I've been on nights now for probably about 5 months, going on 6.
Okay. And I'm talking specifically only you, not your colleague. In the 5 months that you've been on the night shift, how many times have you called for a canine?
I've called for a canine now probably 10 to 20 times.
In 5 months?
In 5 months. Or needed a canine within that time, but I was unable to get it because there was someone that they were on the north end of town, couldn't get there in time, where there wasn't a canine available at that moment because the other person was on a call. Probably about 10 to 20 times.
Out of those, how many were failed because you couldn't get the canine?
I've been able now to get a canine 3 times. And out of those 3 times, every single one was a positive indication.
Do we even have a vehicle now, since we've now voted on this trade, that we have the capability to have a canine?
So with that being said, he offered to assist the town and assist us get a cage at a discounted price and get it put in. Until then, there's an option to have him in a temporary cage, like a crate, until we were able to get a cage put in my vehicle. That's why I mentioned earlier that I had found that, or he had told me that he had found one for $500, and he was willing to help us find ones if that one were to be sold by, before that time were to come. He could help us as far as funding goes and grants and fundraising to acquire a cage. And up till the point we were able to get a cage, we could use the crate.
Council, I'm going to voice my opinion on this, and then if we want to make a decision, we can. The past factual information is we have not done well with K-9 program here in the town of Cloverdale, in my opinion. Seems like a great deal on paper. I'm not for certain, but it is my opinion that we currently are not ready to enter the K-9 world again at this point in time. That is my opinion.
Larry, do you have any canine training as of right now?
I do not. All that certification comes through the 3 weeks of the paid-for state accredited training.
I have to agree with Brendan. We've had several canines. We've spent several thousands of dollars on the cages, the unlocking capability of the cage with the remote. And again, we've had very poor success with canine, just for longevity. I mean, they're great when they're here, but it seems like every one we've done has been very short term. I think it's a great idea. I think the concept is there. I just don't know that the town is ready for that right now. But I would definitely encourage you to continue pursuing options. Maybe a little, we're just going through a bunch with new cars right now, and I'm not trying to discourage you from it, but we're not ready today for it, but that may change in 6 months or a year. So I would definitely encourage you to get more information, look at some granting, put the legwork into it, and come back to us when you're ready for that, and we can take another look at it.
Does the training has to be done with the physical dog, right?
The training has to be done with the physical dog. That would be provided. Like I said, everything is free as far as all the training goes. The cage is, the only thing that can be helped with funding. If it would make you guys feel better, I would be willing, because I know the longevity, I know everybody here has been burnt in the past by the K-9 program, and it's left a bad taste in people's mouth for that. I would be willing to sign a contract with the town saying that I would stay for 2 years, 3 years to help alleviate that stress.
Well, that's kind of where we've been, is we've had, again, we spent a lot of money on a cage and a vehicle with, the unlocking feature and the remote.
The vehicle, we just traded
And the
away.
vehicle, and that was not a cheap cage. That was a very expensive with the remote control and the temp sensors and everything.
Larry, I don't think there's any doubt that all of us up here think we need a canine in this town, because we do. The drug problem that's going on in this town, we all know it. We don't have a vehicle, and me being an animal lover, I'm sorry, I don't want a dog just in a temporary kennel. I want to have the right
It's got to be set
setup.
up. It's got to be set up, so I think.
And this is not by any means, but like with the training and all that, I think we're just not, my opinion is we're just not in the position right now to do that. That's my opinion.
I think 6 months, a year from now, let's look at it again. And of course, we may have to wait for another dog opportunity.
Yeah, I probably won't be there, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure they can try, but it,
Well, here's the thing, in 6 months to a year, if we get the vehicle, we can put it in, and we get everything together, I'm not saying the town doesn't need to go buy another dog, because I think we 100% need it.
$50,000 to $60,000 for running all that in a free program through this.
Oh, we're not,
I mean,
We've been through this, we know what the numbers are.
Yeah,
that's why I'm trying to push it, so.
and we, you know, we recognize that, and we do agree that we do need one. It's just, today, kind of, we're not ready for it. We're still recovering from the expenses of the last couple of canines we've had, and
In my opinion, I think we're more than ready for it, just from the facts of the drug problem in the area and all over. I think we should look at this a little bit closer and see how we could, I think this is, you know, here's a mile from the school. You know, what if it's right outside the school? What if it's on the, you know, what if tomorrow, you know, there's a guy high on meth, plows into something and kills a bunch of people? That's not gonna change. What I'm saying here is that I think we have to find a way to be ready. And I think we need to expedite a way. I know there's a lot of stuff going on, the cars, you know, but I think that this is something that really should really get some action taken on. I motion to move forward with it.
Does anybody want to second that motion?
Am I allowed to make a motion with a contingency?
First, we have a motion on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is nobody that wants to second the motion that's on the floor, so this motion becomes dead.
I will make a motion that contingent on pricing of an actual cage and getting the vehicles that we have upfitted for it, then we can move forward after that. I understand it's a time frame thing, but I wanna know what's actually gonna cost.
Well, I think, I don't know if that's the motion so much as just directing.
I think right now,
Come back.
we just, that motion that Scott has made has not garnered a second, so that motion's out the table.
I wanna know what's gonna cost to get the vehicle outfitted and
So
training.
he can get you that information on personal time.
Okay.
And also, there's also the cost of, if I'm not mistaken, as the handler, there's extra half an hour of pay or.
Garcia.
for lunch breaks.
Garcia law.
Yeah, and then there's also the food, what's the year?
We have to maintain insurance.
Yeah, the insurance, there's a lot of costs. This does sound like a good deal for a portion of it, but there's a lot more costs involved. And the other thing, have you ever been a canine handler?
I've not, no. I've been working with canine handlers in the county, just kind of observing and learning certain things from them.
And we would encourage you to continue that.
Yeah, but there, as he's kind of making reference to, there are a lot of additional costs that weren't brought up this evening that would be good to know going forward in this type of program.
I guess that's where I'm at, Larry, like, I'm not against it by any means, I just wanna know 100,000% the costs that are gonna be incurred, and I get maybe this deal's going, and we don't get another one, but I wanna know down to the dollar what this is gonna cost the
Well, I
town.
think that's the variable, because I know the last cage that we bought started out at one price. By the time we added the thermal sensors, the automatic door openers, it went up into the thousands very quickly,
And
just,
the dog was retired in 2 months.
and then we lost the dog, so, we had a several $1,000 cage with all the accessories and no dog.
Was this dog gonna be in the towns or?
It would be the towns, yes. The dog would belong to the town, and so I'm not looking to spend a bunch of money that we don't need. I just want a canine that can help take care of the drug problem. I don't need all the bells and whistles or all the glamour. I mean, it's a rescued dog from a shelter that shows potential for narcotics. A cheap $500 cage from what he had seen earlier. I mean, I'm continuing to talk about the funding and stuff like that and the fundraising and still in talks with people, including Michael at the golf course, to do the, golf scramble fundraiser to help with that. But, the reason why it was just so urgent today was because of how short notice it was. I got the call today at noon, so I scrambled to put as much together, and the training would start on Monday.
That's beyond appreciated on the town's perspective, and the fact you're that committed, but we gotta have some more information on what that's my.
Can you guys give me some examples of some information so the next time this happens, I can have that for you?
We need food cost, we need training cost.
Training would be free, training costs.
Well, we gotta.
I think what the best scenario here, Larry, would be to pull in a previous contract that we've had with a previous canine. Start there. Use your resources within Greencastle and Putnam County to formulate a game plan.
Okay.
Bring that game plan to the council whenever that time arises.
And we do recognize that we need a canine, it's just, we're not ready for it today. I mean, kind of like you just got nailed with it today, we just got nailed with it tonight. We kind of have to have time to look at the facts and the needs again.
I will say this, by the way, is amazing. We know that. The entire town knows that. Get us more information.
Sure.
Thank you. Adam, anything else?
That's all I've got.
Jason?
The first thing is the board public-private agreement, is this for you?
No, we did that.
Yeah. We're not working on it.
Not the contract, no, I was gonna speak to that though.
Was there something you were supposed to do additional with that? Kelly, or did you think that?
I thought there was something more, but
Okay.
apparently there's not.
Okay,
I can talk more about that when I give you the update on the project.
Lever wastewater project, Eric can probably address that, and he may have a couple things on there.
Yeah.
Whatever you wanna talk about is fine.
Okay.
I have a monthly update for the 3 active projects that we have going on. If it's okay with everybody, I will skip the water and do it last, because we have a little bit more to discuss on that. So, starting with the stormwater project, the Okra funded project, all the base bid work and all the punch list items have been completed except for 2 items. There's some work on Stardust Way, along with some work in front of the firehouse. Both of those are weather and pavement dependent. We did do a final quantity change order adjustment, which actually adjusts the actual quantities installed from what was in the bid schedule. And it ended up with a deduct of $136,293.37. So you can see the cost to the contractor went down from $744,000 to $608,596 roughly. Given these available funds are in the project, there was some additional work in talking with town staff and Jason that we wanted to look at doing. One was an extended drainage outlet on Dream Way, and then one was some additional work on Doe Creek Drive. We've requested pricing from the contractor, and both those 2 items together are $109,300, so we have money to complete that extra work. And we have asked for a 90-day extension for closing out the Okra grant from February 28th through May 28th. So that'll allow the work that requires paving to be done, and we can close out the grant, and it'll be within the budgeted amount. No action on that tonight.
We're still under 20, or the way I calculate 20, almost 27,000,
Yes,
so we could do additional
you could.
smaller project if there's
Yep.
but it has to be in the areas that we have already gotten clearance to do work, correct?
Preferable.
Okay.
If not, we can work with the grant administrator and see. The only issue would be environmental, if we had to clear another area.
If there's stormwater, let me know.
Stardust up to the arena, where it's
We-
eroding.
We can definitely do that. If there's gonna be
Actually, I
stormwater-
think that was about the amount we were looking at.
That was, yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's darn near,
Yeah,
like, real close.
yeah. It was under 30, if I remember right.
Okay, good. We'll take a look.
That's the only reason I brought it up.
Jason, I'll get the change order for those two items prepared, and then we can look at that other item. But yes, you do have that money, so you could do that amount of work, so. Then on the wastewater, if you recall, we had closed out the base bid project for both the town's project and Lever's contract. Both of those were with Reynolds Construction. We submitted, since we had leftover money in the budget, over $1.5 million, including both the town's fund contingency money and Lever's. We have authorized Reynolds to complete the first series of additional work, and that was a total of $1,073,188. That included smoke testing, additional cured-in-place pipe lining of sewers, additional closed-circuit TV, basically televising of sewers, and most of that is in the Stardust Hills area, and that also includes laterals. Repair and coating of concrete tanks at the wastewater. Actually, we held on that one, so that one should not be in that list. Lift station 7, we added an air release valve. The contractor is removing the existing belt press that is not operated, and we are actually going to sell that. I think you advertise that as surplus equipment, so that the town will get some value back from that. They're doing some building modifications, including an overhead door, so that building that did house the belt press could be used for vehicle storage and other equipment. Some chemical feed modifications in that same building, and then completely replacing lift station number 3. So we are getting quite a bit of additional work on the system with that extra money. There is more. In talking with Jason and staff, we decided to wait on determine how to spend the rest of the money, because as you can see, some of this work on this list is investigative work, and it may find some other issues that we want to address. So we want to see how this pans out, get the results, and then we can determine how to spend the rest of the money. But there is quite a bit more money that you can spend to improve your system. So,
do you need council's action on this tonight?
I thought we approved.
Well, here's why I'm asking, because the two items that are on this list are voided, so this dollar figure is incorrect.
Yes, it's actually lower than that.
By about 155, 56,000-ish.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And that's why I'm asking. I mean, for budgetary purposes, council, items D and F are not happening. Well,
no, F is.
F we're recognizing somewhere else because it was sold.
No, the removing, there's work in getting that belt press out. That's the cost for Reynolds to do building modification to get the press out.
Okay.
And some of that is demo to install the overhead door, but.
So then the cost of SF is accurate, it's a cost of D that is not?
Yes, actually what should be taken out of this is $114,000.
Not 155-ish, it's 114 and some change. Okay.
I guess, Brandon, if you'd like to entertain a motion, if they would authorize all of these items less item D, then I could get a change order to Jason that he could sign and authorize them to proceed.
Make it sound so simple. Council, do you have any questions for Eric related to this?
I'm just wondering when the blocks are gonna get fixed.
That is on the list, right?
It is.
I've been assured that it's on the list.
I'll make a motion to approve less than 114,024.
which is item D on this list. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the last item would be on the water project. Jason, unless you have anything else you want me to speak to other than that.
The only thing I would say about the smoke testing, and we'll have another meeting before that smoke testing occurs. We do plan to start the week before spring break, so that the school is not affected if for some reason smoke does into the school. So the plan is to meet in March before spring break, send out notifications to everyone in town, what exactly we're doing. If you're not familiar with what it is, we will actually be putting fans into a manhole around town. We'll pump smoke into the sewer system and see where it comes out. So it could come through the ground, could come through.
What it's trying to find is holes in the system. If there's a cracked sewer pipe, it'll come up. If there's a sewer lateral that doesn't have a cap on it at a clean out, that'll show up. If somebody has a downspout that's connected to their lateral, you'll see smoke come out the gutter. It's looking to find problems in the system as well as illicit connections and things that the town can fix and reduce inflow and infiltration in the system.
Jason, please make sure we're in communication with the local fire department, county emergency operations, obviously our own police department, etc. And this is for the papers and the radio stations that are going to gather notes from this meeting. Again, this is a smoke test. We will send letters out, probably put it on our social media page because we know there are going to be citizens that don't get this message. And we'll see smoke coming up from, an example, a toilet, and they'll be calling 911. So we just need to make sure that we're an open book on this to try to alleviate those 911 calls.
I believe door hangers were part of that as well.
Yes.
Door hangers, yeah.
So when we do
Those will be put out because once they know, okay, we're gonna be doing these 2 streets the next few days, they'll get those door hangers out. And our inspector will be out with the contractor as they're doing this, so he can kind of do some PR work and let people know.
Anything, and all boots on the ground is just gonna help.
Will the text alerts go up?
Yes.
Yeah.
How long will it take?
For all the smoke testing,
How long does it take on the smoke test, for smoke to go down an 8-inch pipe or whatever, and then seep up through the ground?
minutes.
It's that fast. Yeah. What do we have in place to make sure when someone calls and says, my basement's on fire, there's smoke coming through in my basement, that the fire department?
I've already spoken to this fire chief about this. They will respond. They have to respond.
Yeah.
Right, but then do they
They're also gonna-
notify us of the smoke, so we know what houses are legally connected?
Actually, this company that's actually doing it will keep track of all of these, they'll note wherever the illegal connection, if it's illegal connection.
We'll get a report that'll have all of the positive results for smoke leaving the system.
If there's a hole in the ground, they'll put a flag.
Well, if I'm saying,
Not
though,
for-
if it comes in the basement of a house, we won't see it.
You'll eventually see it. There's no
You'll know.
house that's airtight. It'll come out windows, it'll come out exhaust,
Okay.
or the person comes running out.
Now, on the water, I've given you all a letter here. As you know, we talked about, earlier in the meeting, we made the selection for the BOT provider. All of our permits are in place and have been. We have all our easements. So we've made it through the selection process. As I said, that initiates the scoping period. The contractor had actually reached out to us in anticipation of being selected, knowing they were the only one, and have provided pricing and a draft contract. I'm not asking approval of that tonight since you're just seeing it, but I have provided a copy of the agreement they submitted to your town attorney. And I have met with Jason and his staff. Essentially, the work that is proposed is extending from County Road 900, which I guess is Gateway, on the west side of 231, extending a 10-inch line through easements, crossing I-70, and then running up US 231 to connect where a relocation was done by NDOT north of I-70. Eventually, that line will connect to the 10-inch line that was built on Beagle Club Road, and then eventually it will connect to the tower. The reason there are some gaps in there was funding. Looking back, how we were able to get this done is that the town was awarded READY funding through the county that funded all the construction of this. Based on our estimates, there wasn't enough funding to do all of it, so we kind of determined where the most critical areas were. Obviously, that stretch of Beagle Club Road, because we were improving the road, and then basically we extended as far as we could with the remaining funds. So after phase one is done, there was $1,314,041 left in the ready funds for this phase. The pricing we got from the contractor shows a construction estimate, and they give unit prices for all of the line items of $1,086,000. They have included an 8% contingency that's on top of that. That's for things that are unforeseen. And then they have a contractor fixed fee, which they get that regardless. That's $117,400. So the total guaranteed maximum price is $1,291,000. So that is under the funding you have. They will, just like the BOT that was done on the wastewater, they will do open book finances, so they'll show you and us exactly what their costs were, labor and material. So if it comes in under, you have the opportunity to do more work, but you have a guaranteed maximum price that it can't go above that. Now, there is one item that could affect that guaranteed maximum price, and that is rock on the I-70 crossing, because it's a board crossing. If we run into rock somewhere else, we can move the pipe, we can excavate, we can deal with it. If we hit it under the interstate, it makes that a much more costly bore. So the good thing, they are going to do that first, so we're going to know if there is rock there at all. If there is rock, it's basically just going to affect how much water main we can build. So that's really the only wrinkles to all this is the rock there. We think, based on the plans we've seen, that most of the bore is likely going to be in fill. When they built the interstate, a lot of that is fill. So we think we're going to be above the rock areas, but that is a risk that they brought up, and that their 8% contingency would not cover that.
And we have no idea what, let's just say they, saying this conversation, hit a rock field.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten the best available records INDOT has, so, and that's all we can go on.
There's no rock in Putnam County.
Even if you were to do soil borings, I mean, we could do several soil borings and you still might miss a section of rock. So, but that is going to be the first thing they'll do. What they'll do is they'll push a rod through, a small rod, get it all the way through the length of the bore, pull back a little bigger reamer head, and then do their core to hole, their bore to hole.
Yeah.
So they're going to know pretty quick if they've got an issue. But again, I'm not asking for action on this tonight, but it looks like we have a pricing proposal that works well with the funding you have. The good thing is with the BOT process here, if the costs come in lower and we don't hit rock on the interstate, we might be able to do some extra work and fill in parts of those gaps that we have. The contractor would like to start in March because there is some clearing they have to do ahead of April 1st because of the bat. So there is some clearing on the north side of 70 that needs to be done. So either we could look at having a special meeting between now and your March meeting, or it could be done at your March meeting if we wanted to wait that long.
With the approval of the agreement,
Yes.
I've had an initial review of it. I didn't realize they provided it. I thought that was a form that you had given them.
Yeah.
So I'd like to look at that one more time just to make sure there's nothing, like you could give approval pending my final approval.
We can do, I was gonna say, approval,
Yeah. That way-
pending, everything checks out.
Yeah. That way we don't wait till middle of March.
And maybe that at least puts it on their schedule to start at whatever March timeframe they were looking
I
at.
think they would be totally fine with that.
Fair?
Yep.
Council?
This is the path of least resistance, even though there could be a giant rock.
Yes, it's, in my opinion, it's the best course of action you have. And I think it offers more opportunities than it would if you were to open market publicly bid this project. BOT works well for things that are unique. This
Like the
has-
one we just did.
Yes.
Motion to approve upon council's suggestion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That is all I have. Unless Jason, do you have anything else you need to report on?
The only thing is, we do have that HVAC contract. Do you want to say there to change the billing right now, where I think we're going under some of the transportation
Yes,
items?
there was an hourly contract that was done for on-call services that was started out, it was under our transportation department, because it was when some of the work was started on Beagle Club Road and Bennington Way. Since then, all of the services that Jason and them have used us for is primarily on wastewater, reporting things, IDEM and so forth. This contract would basically just change in our accounting system what department it goes through. That's the only change. It's still hourly, and it's only if Jason picks up the phone and asks us to use it.
So you're just moving the money from the left pocket to the right pocket?
Essentially.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That's yours.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is annexation. Mr. Shagley and I did have a phone call with Brandon Scruggs of Baker Tilly. That is our consultant that has done all of our fiscal plan work for us. He went through with us all of the ordinances that are going to be required, and I apologize, I thought that he had sent that to Richard already, and then when I reached out to him today, he had never received that email, or it had only been sent to me. So I have since sent that to Richard for next meeting. I do hope to have that ready for him.
For the record, we were both on that email and it was received. Just making that note. Continue.
Roll it, run
Let's talk about Richard and I. You
Oh,
can continue.
it? Okay, I'm sorry. What? Okay. The next item is we have Monon Avenue. There are two parts to this Monon Avenue, and Brandon, you could probably speak to that a little bit if you'd like.
So council, obviously you know our hopes and dreams of one day of making Monon right. I drove Monon this morning. For the lack of better terms, it's falling apart. And I'm not just saying large holes in the road, because there are those, but literally it is, I feel confident saying it's probably the worst street in town limits currently. We are still working behind the scenes on correcting Monon in several aspects, but it's going to take time before hopefully all those pieces fall in place. And Jason is asking if we can entertain some quotes to do, let's call it a temporary repair, because if council doesn't act to do something, and if we don't want to do anything tonight, maybe this is just for acknowledgement purposes. I encourage you to take a drive down Monon Avenue, and you will see firsthand what I'm talking about. But I do agree with Jason that we need to act sooner rather than later on a temporary fix until we can get everything in line for the more permanent solution for Monon. Does that help?
I did contact the contractor today about coming to take a look at it and give you a number of what it would take. This weather's done a number on it.
Is there anything that we can do just to patch it?
That, and we have, over the last year, we've got
Yeah, I've
easy
seen
patch.
that in there, yeah.
I think what we're having out there now is the sides are just falling off. So until you actually dig down, put some rock down and build it back up. When I talked to the contractor today, my argument was, and I told him, I said, hey, I don't want anything expensive. I want to get through 2 years. Because our plan, our longer term plan is to come back in and actually relocate that road, build it correctly, maybe even curbs, stormwater, and sidewalk. So I don't want to put a huge amount of money into this, but this road's to the point, there's even one area that I could almost argue is a safety issue. Now, the problem is we don't have asphalt plants open right now, so I actually spoke with a resident along there today, and I said, you know, probably the earliest we're gonna get to it is maybe April. I'm hoping April. But it's bad.
I drove down.
I hate to put money into something that in 2 years we may be tearing up, but I think this may be one of those cases that's
No, I mean-
necessary.
I drove down it the other day by accident, because I was gonna look at the car, and I about sent you a bill for an alignment. So I agree, something needs
It
done.
needs removed and replaced.
It does. Which leads us to the second part. I know Lauren is here tonight, and we had a contract with United, and they're gonna get us 3 different design options, and then start possibly looking at land acquisition. And I don't know if you have anything you wanna say, Lauren, or if you're...
That's about it. We should have the corresponding land acquisition options by next week.
I believe there are 3 landowners that we're gonna have to negotiate with to acquire land, and 4 if you wanna include CSX, which that's kind of happening as well, so.
I agree 100%, something needs to be done, but until we get some pricing, there's not really anything we can do.
Yeah, I'm hoping he's gonna be here this week.
No, because even if we threw the bags of, what do you call it, hot patch or whatever,
Yeah,
that's been done 1,000 times on this road.
Yeah, well, this stuff will just, if we put patch out there, it's.
Well,
just
you're
gonna
talking about
fall
on the sides, I'm talking about where the current potholes are at, you can tell it's, let's just see what the contractor comes back with.
Cold patch is not good. I mean, when you don't have a choice, that's all you can
Just a
do.
quick fix.
It is. So just wanted to update you on that. We are, again, working on a long-term solution. We're gonna probably have this on the agenda for 2 more years, so, once we get land acquisition, some design work done, and then go in CCMG, so we're,
Do you want to give an update on CSX, or do you want to wait?
go right ahead. One's been successful.
Multiple aspects here, working with CSX. Monon, number 1. Number 2 is the rest of their railway that runs through town limits. We had a meeting, in-person meeting with CSX back in December, and we drove and walked tracks from one end of town to the next. Jason and I very adamantly listed and our concerns and what our future looks like, or what we'd like to see for the town of Cloverdale related to the active railway. That gentleman took the information back to corporate CSX. We just heard back from them last week. We hope to have a decision sometime in March on what they're willing to do and or work with the town of Cloverdale. It's phenomenal. So to be continued on that as well. Anything else on that one? Okay.
Next thing I have on the agenda, I did get a call about a month and a half ago about concern on the trees along both Robert Weist and Cemetery Road going both directions. If you're familiar with that area, those trees are between the sidewalk and the road. And they are large trees. There are 21 trees, 21 large trees. I did talk to Brandon about this a few weeks back, about the possibility of starting a program of removal of those trees. Now, I have not spoken with any of the property owners through there. So there's probably be a few property owners that wouldn't be excited about the trees being removed, but the trees are clearly doing damage to the sidewalks, the edge of the street, and I question the safety of some of those trees. There are limbs hanging out over the road that are not in very good shape. This isn't something we have to make a decision on tonight, but I'd like you to at least consider maybe a program. I did get a quote for removal of the trees. I got a quote of $1,200 per tree to remove the tree and $300 to remove the stump. So we're looking at $1,500 a tree times 21 trees. We're talking a nice chunk of change. If we're going to do a project where we're going to do a road project with curbs, sidewalks, those trees are gonna have to be removed. So I would just make this is my recommendation, is that we look at maybe a 3-year plan where we would start removing these over a 3-year period. So that we don't get hit with a big expense this year. And just pick the worst trees this year and remove those ones that I think are safety issues. And then maybe go back the next 2 years and finish taking all of them down. Now, there may be some conversations that need to be held with the property owners, because I'm sure they do provide shade, and they are kind of pretty. They're just too big, and
How many are
they're, I'd say none of them are completely dead. I would say 20 of them have sections that are dead.
questionable?
They're just trees that have lived longer than they should. And they're in our right of way, they're potentially a danger, but they're clearly causing damage to sidewalks. I mean, that's, when you have a tree as big as those are between your street and your sidewalk, you know what's gonna happen.
Same as should be on Main Street.
Sure.
Doesn't matter the size of the tree when they're planted like that.
So I wanted, ultimately, I think we all know sidewalks need to be replaced throughout town, but before we get ready to start replacing sidewalks, we're gonna have to start replacing, or get the trees out before we can even think of doing that.
Larry, have you looked at these trees?
I've looked at least one of them.
Okay.
There's
I guess where I'm going is if you had to make a decision today, how many would you cut down tomorrow that are immediate threat? Or we can revisit this next month, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't looked at any of them.
One on Robert Lee's split. Yeah. Well, there are a couple that actually have concerns, serious safety.
I just from driving up and down, there's 4 or 5 when I go under in my dually, I'm like, this is a little sketchy.
And they do, I mean, some of those limbs hang, if
Yeah.
nothing else, the limbs need to be trimmed, they do hit semis that come up through there.
There's at least 5 that, in my opinion, need to come out.
Would you say that's a fair number?
And
I guess what I'm trying to get at is do you want council to give you approval to cut down a set amount of trees based upon this quote tonight that are the more immediate threat, and then we take the difference over, per your recommendation, a year, 2 years?
I mean, that's a start. I'm okay with whatever you decide. Ultimately, I think all 21 of them should be removed. And I'm a tree lover, so it's not that I want these trees gone.
Don't put that in there.
But no, I do love trees, and I'm sure property owners. I just know, I mean, it's pretty clear the damage they're doing.
Yeah.
And even if we come back and after the fact and replant trees, I know some other towns have done this. Smaller trees, maybe not like a Bradford pear, but something that's a good tree that can be planted in that.
I'll make a motion to approve to cut down 5 of the ones we agree is a safety concern.
Make a motion, we do 7 trees per year for 3 years, and the 21 trees are gone.
I'll second that.
My question before we move any further, and this might be a question for the contractors, if we're gonna span this over a 3-year period, does this quote stay good for 3 years?
I did not ask him that.
So I think we need to handle this right now until Jason can have the conversation with this contractor, is we give the approval for 7 at this price, gets the ball going, and then have the conversation. Council wants to know for the next 2 years, is this a good rate? Or if there is going to be inflation, please give us what that rate is.
And also, I assume those 7, you want to target those.
The worst of them.
The worst 5 that you were discussing. Yeah, okay.
Thoughts? Conversation, council?
So I'll make a motion, 7 over the next 3 years. We pick the worst ones contingent on contractor giving us an inflation rate.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Harry abstains.
Along the tree removal line, and I don't know where we stand on this yet, and I actually talked to Eric about this as well. This is a little bit different than the road trees. But just this week, we have had 3 sewer main lateral repairs where trees are, the roots are getting into our sewer mains and laterals both. So we've had 3 digs this week. I talked to Eric about the possibility, because we're still gonna have some funds left in the sewer project, about using those funds to clear out trees, clear out trees or any brush along some of our sewer lines. Not necessarily along roads, it could be along roads, but we've got a lot of sewer lines that just go through alleys that are actually right-of-way, that may not have asphalt, but they're still just right-of-ways. So we're gonna kind of look at that as well, so that, I'm just throwing that along with the tree removal. That's something we did talk about. You know, these trees are old clay tile, these roots are gonna try to get to the water. And it's high nutrient water too, so. But I want to give you heads up that that's something we may try to put into the project as well, just specifically because we've had 3 digs this week.
Okay.
Next item on here, and Bryce, you can probably speak to this. This is much better than I can. It's the 22 Ford F-350. This is the truck that Brad drives, and I know that you went over it and you know more about transmissions than I do.
Yep, so if it's what you say it is, the local dealer that it's at can fix it for a little under 11,000, like 10 something. We're at 9, my family's dealership would be at around 9,800, but we gotta get it all the way to Kokomo. So it's a fair price, it's gotta be fixed, there's no getting around it, so.
Is that truck out of warranty?
Yeah.
Is it?
Go ahead and tell Larry the best part about that.
That it's 10,000 hour warranty, or do you mean?
How far are we off of warranty?
That's 10,000 miles.
Of course, right?
I mean, my dad was just
shy of
gonna,
10,000.
my dad was just gonna do it at cost for the town, but the price they're asking is not,
Not worth the transport.
no, it's not worth the transport to drive, get it hauled all the way to Kokomo and back.
I did get a call from, it was Andy Moore's, and that's what we purchased, and that's what we took it back about warranty. And I'd never heard of this, but she said that they were going to contact Ford about
And
a supplemental warranty on something like that.
every once in a
Where it may
while,
not
if it's,
cover the entire thing.
yeah, every once in a while when Ford, if they,
Feel better.
Ford, Chevy, Dodge, any of them, if they're like, oh, this is really close, they'll be like, hey, we're not paying the full bill, here's $4,000 off, which they might be able to get, but the price they're getting, I mean, Dad's cost is $9,800, that's not making a single dollar. So, for under 11 grand, Andy Moore ain't making very much off of us either, and it ain't worth trucking it all the way to Kokomo and back for that kind of money. So, it's a fair price.
How long has this truck been sitting?
Hadn't been sitting, it's been drove every day.
Yeah, it's still drivable.
It is drivable?
Yeah, it's throwing signals that are throwing up a.
It's throwing code.
Code,
Yeah. It needs replaced, there's no.
When we were plowing, it would lose power while it's plowing.
What's the mileage on that?
It's 45,000, sorry.
Yeah.
45,000.
You said 4,500.
So, I'm just asking, I mean, your approval to proceed with that. Obviously, it's a 22, so it's too nice of a truck to we're not fixed.
The truck, 30 grand.
With the working transmission?
Yeah. No, it's worth 30 grand without it. I mean, there ain't no way you can't fix it. It's gotta get fixed. I mean,
Yeah. Well, please approve it, because we've already authorized the repair.
I make a motion that we repair the truck.
It just, there's no point in hauling it to Kokomo and back to say $500, because that's what's gonna cost you in transport. So, all in favor, well, that's your job, bud, sorry.
I think we had a motion. Did we have a motion from Larry?
Motion second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The president, so.
I was gonna make the motion actually, but then I didn't wanna get yelled at by council.
I can be president one time, no question.
The one time you let me be president, and,
Yeah, never again.
no.
Anything else? No. Thank you. Kelly?
Well, hold on, where's my blocks?
It's on the to-do list, it's not on the agenda.
And if you want to talk about that, we need to add that to the agenda.
Oh, no, sorry, he said it was on the to-do list, I thought it was on the.
It's on his to-do list.
Okay.
Kelly.
We talked about it.
Okay. You have your monthly reports in your packet. We're 1 month in, so thankfully there are no areas of concern yet. You also have a 2024 annual financial report in your packets. That is something that has to be submitted to Gateway. So I just wanted to go over and hit some of the highlights for you from 2024. Our revenue, we brought in about 13% more than I estimated last year. Most of that was interest. We brought in $124,000 more interest than I expected. And in part, that is due to interest rates, but also because we started investing with Trust Indiana. I sent some of our money over to the state and a much better interest rate, and so that has helped tremendously. On the spending side, our spending was down. We underspent our budget by about 20%, which is great. So you'll see later on down the agenda, we have like a rainy day transfer that I'm going to ask to make because of those two items right there. Also in this financial report, there is a report on our bonds, the loans that the town has. And I will let you know redevelopment paid off one of their bonds this year. So that still leaves the town with one long-term wastewater bond, and that's due to the project that we're doing right now. We do have one, the Stardust Road lease rental revenue bond still, and the police department still has one vehicle lease loan.
Which one's that in?
That would be probably the black one, and that should be paid off, right?
It's gonna be paid off this year. I was thinking it was the gray one, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
I think it's the black one.
The last
It's
payment was
the
made
one
this year.
The one Trevor's in.
Okay, yep.
That was the last one.
The, Explorer. Yeah, no, that'd be the, yeah.
That was the last one they leased.
As far as grants go, in 2024, we were able to spend $374,723.16 in federal grant awards, which is pretty good. And we were also able to spend $331,188.23 in other grant awards, and that was mostly community crossings and basketball court. So financially, I just want to let you know the town is in good shape, and I just urge council to continue to be intentional and forward-thinking in regards to their spending, because we're doing pretty good. And I also would like council's approval to go ahead and submit this to the state on Gateway.
First of all, it's obviously very encouraging and awesome information that you just shared with everybody. Is there a motion for approval on to submitting that to Gateway?
I would make a motion, but before Kelly, I just want to say the job that you are doing for this town is amazing. And if the community doesn't recognize that, they need to check their pulse. So I'm very, very thankful for you and what you're doing for this town. Somebody that just opened a business, thank you. I'll make a motion to.
I'll second that. Thank you very much, Kelly.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and the next thing you have in your packets is a list of outstanding checks considered void. So the following checks that are on your list are outstanding and they've been unpaid for 2 years. So per Indiana Code 5-11-10.5, these checks are declared void and they've been receipted back in to the town's funds.
Do we have to vote to receive those back in?
No, they just automatically go. I'm just letting you know that's what happened. And that's all I have.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, that brings us to Resolution 2025-1. That's a rainy day transfer that Kelly just briefly mentioned.
Motion.
There are no questions. Bryce has a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Brings us to Resolution 2025-2. That's a signed grant local match transfer. If there are no questions, is there a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This brings us to Resolution 2025-3. That's an Okra local match transfer. No questions. Is there a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Briefly, BZA still have an appointment. If anybody knows of anybody interested, please reach out to myself or Kelly, as we still have that opening. This brings us to readdressing.
We've had this on the agenda for a couple of months. This is the recommendation, well, there are two parts to the recommendation. One, the county is going through the process, they're gonna redo numerics in the county. But then the second part is they're recommending that we consider name changes for any street that has a duplicate name. There's only one that I'm actually asking you to move forward with at this point, or at least to consider to move on forward on some point. But it's Lewis Drive and Lewis Street. Both those streets are north of the downtown area on the west side of the road. I'm sure you probably know where they are. Lewis Drive is to the south, just past the vacant lot on the west side. That's Lewis Drive, and then north of that is Lewis Street, and goes back into the subdivision. My assumption was Todd Lewis probably had some relation to this, and that's what he told me. I'd actually reached out to Todd and I'd asked his opinion on that. I said, you know, this is a kind of concern for emergency services, for delivery, for utilities, that there are two Lewises, and I asked if there was any concerns with that. He had no concerns with a name change happening. Although all the homes on Lewis Street, all the homes in that area are named after family members. So, and there are also 6 homes on Lewis Street. There are 4 homes on Lewis Drive. There are 4 homes along with the new duplex that just is pretty close to being completed. That's what Lisa is trying to get us to move on, so that if we are going to do a name change of the street, that she can give that address, the new duplex, the proper address from the get-go. And that's why she's asking us to consider a change for Lewis Drive. And that would honestly be my recommendation. I think it has less impact. There are only 4 homes on Lewis Drive as opposed to Lewis Street. Lewis Street is also the subdivision called the Lewis subdivision up through there. And to me, it makes more sense to leave Lewis Street alone, and you would change the name to Lewis Drive. I don't have any recommendations for what a name would be if you did decide to change that.
I think we need to approach it as though if council wants to move forward with renaming Lewis Drive only, that is the one with only 4 residents on it, we go ahead and approve that we're going to move forward. That gives us a month to come up with a new name. That can give us time to notify residents that something is, you know, we're changing the name of the street. Therefore, if they want to show up and voice concerns, we can hear them out as well.
I just have one. Don, how many times do you, and this is just from my time at the arena, how many times do you have semis and stuff on Stardust Way versus Stardust Road? Because I'd get calls all the time when I was at the arena.
I have more horse trailers than I have semis.
Well, but that's the thing. I'd get calls all the time that, hey, it says we're here, but we're in a housing addition. And I'm like, well, you're not supposed to be there. So I'm just curious on your opinion why we're talking about this. What?
Well,
because I get calls from semi-drivers, people coming to the shows, you know, all the time. Well, it says we're here, but we're in a housing addition. So they can type in 253 West Stardust Way instead of Stardust Road, and they'd be in the middle of Stardust. I'm just curious to your opinion.
well, that in itself has not been such a huge problem, and it continues to diminish over time, because we have repeat show people.
People know where they're going.
And they know where the hell they're going.
Okay.
A small sign in front of the stop sign that would say,
On the east and west side of the road?
well, the CVRC Arena is 1/2 mile.
That way, okay. Gotcha.
And
I just was curious as to your opinion on that, because I took
that
multiple.
would solve that particular problem
Okay.
of the horse trailers and the show people turning into Stardust Hills, but, you know, golly, they should be able to distinguish.
You would think, but,
People trust their GPS.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how many phone calls I get where we're in the middle of housing district, says we're here. That's the only reason I
They
have
put
it.
in Stardust and hit go, they don't
Yeah,
finish
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's the only reason I ask.
A or core, or who knows?
So going back to Lewis Drive, does council want to move forward with renaming Lewis Drive?
Motion for looking at it in a month.
Okay, so we'll, in the March meeting, we'll present, or council will make a decision on what we're going to rename Lewis Drive.
We need to check with, and maybe you already have, like with emergency management system, 911, on how much time they need.
So it's the same process that he did with Kylie Way.
Okay,
We're gonna follow suit on this one.
okay. That's, when will be the effective date? It's approved in March, when would be the effective date?
May I interject something here?
Shoot.
I think that it would be a bit easier to check with the postal department to see what you can do with it.
That's on his checklist. Again, I'm gonna refer to Kylie Way that we did. We renamed Market, remember? Just a few months ago, we renamed Market Street.
Okay, well,
That's on his checklist.
okay, well, it would seem to me, on this Lewis issue, Lewis Drive North, Lewis Drive South.
It's noted. I think it would still ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm looking at the list of all the streets that council eventually is going to have to make a decision on. There's so much similarity, it's still going to cause confusion if you put a north or a south, or an east or an west. That's why, in conjunction with the county, we're working on this project to make it easier for the postal service,
Right now, it's a drive.
for emergency services.
Yeah. It's driving the street. they
That's
can't
the whole
straight.
reason we're tackling this whole project. Okay?
I'm not objecting to the project.
I'm just explaining as to why we're doing this exercise.
Is this something we would like to meet with? I mean, all these that are left are all in Stardust. Is that something we'd like to have a conversation with the HOA at some point? And maybe Dawn and,
If you want to, absolutely.
I mean, a couple of members from the council, if we set up a meeting to start that conversation?
Well, you can only have two.
Correct.
That's up
I
to
mean,
you.
we don't want to make it a special meeting.
No,
but
absolutely.
I think the council needs to be involved in that. But, I mean, Dawn would be. an
You can set up a
appropriate
meeting to get their feedback and maybe suggestions on renaming one of the 5 Stardust ways that, or Stardust names that are up there, for example. Absolutely. So yeah, I like that idea.
person. Do you have a couple members who want to volunteer?
I haven't seen the list.
What's that?
I have, for Stardust.
I can get it for you.
Jason's got it.
I'll get it for you.
I won't leave Scott in the rain, I'll volunteer.
There's your 2. Okay, did we pass, I'm sorry, there was a lot going on.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did somebody made a motion to move forward with renaming
I
Lewis
did.
Drive? That was Rex, and then Greg, did you second it? Okay, there was no vote.
Okay, all in favor on that motion?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, Kelly, and thank you.
This is why we love you.
All right, Jason, anything else? No? Okay. This brings us to the Schrader proposed agreement. I would ask council if you have any questions, please ask. If not, I am looking for council to take under advisement for a motion for approval.
All I will say is, my personal opinion, this starts a very slippery slope,
Potentially.
potentially. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything
I
else to
would
say?
say after discussing with council and others that we go ahead and move forward.
Second.
Craig had the motion, Larry had the second. All in favor to accepting?
Aye.
I don't know what it is.
Aye.
I'm a no.
I'm a no.
You have 3 yeses, 2 nos, for the record. Okay. This brings us to the added item, the EAS contract.
Yes, that was a late addition, I'm sorry, it just came today. It's in your packet, so if it's not at the bottom, if you get refreshed, you'll see it. This is just our annual service contract with EAS. You might notice their logo changed at the top. They're changing their brand to Convergent, their name. It's annual renewal for our IT service with them. The price increased $924 for the year, which is about a 6% increase.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Council, any questions, anything anybody like to add? Any questions from the public? No? Okay. It's 8:34, this meeting is adjourned. Council, don't forget, we gotta sign